Good morning, students. I hope so. Everyone is good and everyone is fine. So, in our previous lecture, we have completed off with this chapter, which is manufacturing industry. So, in this particular lecture, we are going to recap each and every topic that we have discussed in this particular chapter. So, this is going to be your summary lecture for chapter number 6, manufacturing industry, class 10, subject geography. So till now, whatever we have studied, we are going to discuss it again. We are going to just have a recap of each and everything that we have discussed, and still if there is any queries, anything that you are not able to understand, just let me know in the online classes that you are not able to understand this particular topic. So let's get started with the video. So first of all, I have made particular notes for you regarding manufacturing industry, what it is about, what is manufacturing basically. So if we talk about manufacturing, manufacturing is basically a production of all the goods in large quantities. We are producing all the goods in large quantities after processing it from raw materials to more valuable products, that is known as manufacturing. So here all the things that we make from the raw material to some finished products or some valuable products, the process that is into from this raw material to this finished product, we call this particular process as manufacturing. So the production of all these goods in a large quantity, not in a small one, in a large quantity, in a kind of a process where the raw material is converting all the things into some valuable products, that is known as manufacturing. So you have all the examples in front of you. When you go to a market, you see a lot of shops out there where you see a variety of products. Then there will be sellers also in the dairy wala, where you see that people are selling these fruits, and there are other people also, those who are selling these bangles, earrings and handloom things. So all these kind of production is from a different manufacturing, different industries. So what is basically the importance of these manufacturing in our life and in the national development of our economy or for the Indian economy? So how it eventually helps the national development of a particular country's economy. So basically, if we talk about manufacturing sector, it is considered to be the backbone of development in general and in economic development. So why we say that manufacturing sector is considered to be the backbone of development? See, I have given you a few examples also. First of all, that if we talk about the raw material, if straight away the raw materials have been given to you the same way and it will transfer into you, like you have the book within your hand, that is particularly the raw material that will use to make this book will be wood. Now if similarly it is not being processed in any of the industry and manufactured, and same way that raw material has been given to you, where you are going to write it down. So first thing is that it is making the things more valuable. Now to make these things more valuable, the first and foremost thing is that you need a certain kind of a place, industry, where you can make these things. Now you have set up your industries. Now it helps, basically you will need people to make this thing. So अपने आप तो हो नहीं जाएगा. You will need people to make these raw material to into processed goods. So you will give and provide job to people. So the first point here, it clarifies that it helps in modernizing agriculture as it provides jobs in secondary and tertiary sector. So exactly when there will be the production and you are making those raw material into some finished goods and then you're transferring also. So basically to make them and to transfer them also, you will need certain number of people to make it. So actually you are providing them job in these particular sectors. Now eventually when you are providing them the jobs, you are reducing the unemployment rate and the poverty rate from these particular regions. that or particular state or particular countries national economy में से आप unemployment निकालो, poverty निकालो by providing them jobs. So it eventually helps in the eradication of unemployment and poverty. Now, just because of we are exploring so many products and we are making so many good and valuable products, what we do that we export them also by manufacturing these goods and expand them to some trade and commerce sections and bring in much needed foreign exchange. So every country out there, they must be rich in something, they must be poor in something. So what we do that we provide them all these valuable products and in exchange we get a good amount of foreign exchange. So this is one of the important things that we are getting a good amount of foreign exchange, which is eventually helping our national economy only and into the development section of our country. Now it helps in prospering the country by giving a boost to the economy. So in one way or the other, if we talk about all these points that we have discussed, what it eventually providing to our economy, it is giving a boost. It is giving a boost to our economy to be a better one, and eventually it is helping in the GDP rate also by if you are giving job, unemployment rate is less, then there is a lot more amount of money that we are generating from foreign exchange and from within our country also. So it eventually prospering the country by giving a boost to our national economy. So these are few of the importance of manufacturing that we have discussed. Now if we talk about the next important topic that is given in this particular chapter, it is contribution of industry to our national economy. So how these industries can contribute to our national economy. As in your book also, the data that have been given to you is of 2 decades. But if we consider that the last 2 decades was not that progressive in terms of our industries, but from the last decade we have seen a lot more progress and we have seen a variety of industries that has came up and it has eventually provided a really good revenue to our GDP as well. So the share of manufacturing sector that has stagnated at 17% at a time before, now from the last decade they have seen around 7% per annum a success rate. The growth rate have been seen a 7% growth per annum, they have seen it, and eventually helping the GDP rate to be growing just because of this secondary and tertiary sector that is building up day by day. So eventually these industries that we are building, we are making like employment sector improve, we are making we are like removing all these unemployment sectors, we are improving the poverty rate. So basically all these factors are responsible because the contribution of industry is very much there. That is why our national economy is increasing day by day. So you can write these points as well, which we have discussed previously also in importance of manufacturing, that these points can also be counted as contribution of industry to our national economy. Now we are going to talk about another topic, that is the industrial location. Now just think about that you have to set up an industry. Now to set up an industry, you must be having few things on your mind, that where you are going to set up, are you going to able to get the raw material to that particular place, it will be available or not, you are going to get laborers to work for you, or it should be there nearby to some market, so that your when you are going to transport all these products from these industries to the market, it is eventually going to cost you really less and very limited, so that if you are going to earn the profit, it should be very much good in terms of money rate. So these are few of the factors that we are going to discuss, that if you want to set up a industry, what are the major things and that we have to keep in mind to set up an industry. So basically what kind of a location you are going to set up in. So if we think about that, basically you have to think about the cost cutting production rate. So in the cost cutting production rate is that you have a certain budget where you can set up the industry. So you will find the least amount of possible investment that you can do, so that eventually that investment that you are doing, it eventually provide you more and more profit. तो जितना कम आपका प्रोडक्शन कॉस्ट होगा उतना ही आपका प्रॉफिट डबल होगा. Likewise, to think about these particular factors, people choose a location that is nearby to cities, but eventually they are providing that particular land area in a very cheaper rate, or in a kind of a range that they don't have to pay them much. So they think about certain regions which is not far away from city areas, but it should be should not be that much costly to them, so that they can eventually have the less production cost if they are spending into that. So they find certain locations, like I have given you example also of Manesar. In Manesar, people are getting very cheaper rate of land area, so they many of the industries have been set up there, and secondary it is nearby to the city areas. Then the first after the first more important thing is after getting the setup of this industry, what is the necessary things that you need? The first and foremost thing is the raw material. So what kind of raw material that you are using, what kind of products that you are making. So the first and foremost thing is that you should have the raw material within you. So जितना कम रेट में और कितने सस्ते में आपको वो चीजें मिल जाए, that is the best way possible. Then you got the land, you got the raw material. Then the second most important thing is labor. अब आपके पास raw material, again now you require people to make those raw material into some products and to some valuable products. So you require labor. Then capital, because of course the investment is needed in one way or the other. You will require money to generate each and everything, to pay the laborers, to pay for the raw material, for everything. So capital is very much needed, so it plays a very important role. Then power is especially needed too, because all these industries are working on some machineries and electricity, so power is needed. Then the market is really important. How? Because why we say that it should be nearby to the city areas, so that the service sector, the tertiary sector, the transport sector that we are talking about, if it is going to be far away from the place that you are making, it is going to add on to that cost as well. So distance जितना कम होगा उतना कम cost उसमें add होगा, and your production cost will be lesser and lesser. So that's why they talk about the market should be nearby to the places. Then government policies also. So there are certain government policies. You have to take permission from the government to set up any industry. You have to think about all the policies that is there under these particular sections, that how you can occupy the areas and how you have to work, what kind of taxes that you have to give. So each and everything matters here when it comes to locating a particular industry in any area. I hope so this is clear and it is quite usable to you. Now if we talk about the market linkage, so how it actually works. So first of all, the raw material or the component factors of production were like just we have talked about, it has been done. Now all these raw materials have been transported to these factories. They make particular valuable products out of it. Then these products are being transported into this market where the money comes, and it is eventually going again to these production sector. So this is a kind of a market linkage chain that actually works. Now the classification of industries. So now we have talked about what are industries, how you can locate it. But if you see in the market, you have seen there are variety of industries that are there that manufacture products on a daily basis. If you have seen in the Thena Vada, sell these vegetables. Then there are shops that they are selling these medicines. Then there will be retailing shops like utensils they sell. There will be cycles, motor, like automobiles, petrol, scooters. See, these kind of industries are there. Now, have you ever thought about these industries could vary from each other? From where they actually manufacture, from where they make these particular products. So obviously they can't make in a one place, and every industry have its own variety. So here we are going to talk about what are these basic industries, so on what basis, according to which kind of a role they are into. So we are going to talk about that. So the first one is agro-based. That is the most important one, because food is one of the item that is used on a daily basis. So all the things, that item that you're getting from the agricultural raw material, like these cotton, woolen, jute, silk, everything comes under the agro-based industries. Then if we talk about the mineral-based industries, so mineral-based are also quite important, because machinery is being used entire nation, and to all these mineral raw materials that have been used to make these industries, like iron and steel, cement, machine tools, everything comes under that category. Then there is, just wait. So the classification of industry on the basis of if you talk about mineral based and agro based, they are based on the raw materials, because you are extracting all the raw materials from the agriculture and from the mining activities, and you are getting these products to make them more valuable in the manufacturing sector. So agro based are basically cotton, jute, sugar, silk, textile, rubber and sugar, tea, coffee and all these stuff. Then if you talk about the mineral based, they are like iron and steel, cement, aluminium and machinery tools, petrochemicals. All these come under these mineral based companies. Now according to their main role, see, there will be some basic or key industries which supply their products or raw material to manufacture other goods. So here, what are the main role of a particular industry here are, the first one is the basic or key industry, which they supply their products or raw materials to manufacture other goods. Now they are making these raw material into some finished products, and these finished products are basically going for further making other kind of valuable products out of it. So there are particular stages, there are particular levels on which these basic or key industry work, where these raw materials are converted into some kind of a products, where these also products are going further to manufacture other valuable products. So this is how these basic or key industry works. Now there is second kind of industry also, that is the consumer industry, that produce the goods for the direct use by the consumer. So all these like जो भी आपके डेली बेसिस पे यूज होते हैं, जो भी राशन वाले शॉप होते हैं, जो भी आपको सेल करती हैं, दे आर कंज्यूमर फ्रेंडली, like we have to use them on a daily basis. So which industries, consumer industries are basically, they are selling all the products and making the products, the product goods that is directly used by these consumers. Now on the basis of their capital investment, if we talk about on the basis of their capital investment, there are two kind of industries. The first one is the small scale industries. So if we talk about the small scale industries, if just I am giving you a one normal example that you can write in your papers as well, that if the investment is less than 1 crore, it is a small scale industry. So if the industry is like less than 1 crore, investment is less than 1 crore, it is considered to be small scale industry. Like people set up small businesses around you of particularly things, and if the investment is not exceeding much, like it is kind of less than 1 crore, it is be considered to be a small scale industry. Now in the large scale industry, if the investment is more than 1 crore, it is a large scale industry. So if you are setting up a business or industry, and in that business and industry your investment is going above 1 crore, then it is considered to be a large scale industry. Now we have talked about on the basis of raw material and main role, then capital investment. Now on the basis of their ownership, how who own these industries, how they can own their industries, how can they set up these industries on their own. So there are certain categories. The first one is public sector. So in public sector, they own and operate all these industries are operated by all the government agencies. So in the public sector, all the jitne bhi industries that are being operated by these government agencies, they are come under the public sector. Now the other one is the private sector. Now private sector are the one that those industries are owned and operated by an individual or a group of individuals. So here in the private sector, all these industries which are being set up by an individual or a group of people together and being operated by them, they are considered to be the private sector. So government doesn't have any much of their like right on these kind of companies. They are being settled on the particular जो दूसरे मतलब जो सेटअप कर रहा है उसी की है, गवर्नमेंट एजेंसी का इसमें कोई राइट नहीं होता है. लेकिन पब्लिक सेक्टर, इफ यू वांट टू टेक एन एग्जांपल, देयर इज सेल. इफ यू टॉक अबाउट द एग्जांपल फ्रॉम प्राइवेट सेक्टर, देयर इज टेस्को, बजाज ऑटोमोबाइल्स, डाबर इंडस्ट्रीज. सो ऑल दीज आर द एग्जांपल्स ऑफ प्राइवेट सेक्टर. नाउ देयर इज अनदर वन दैट इज द जॉइंट सेक्टर. So in joint sector, industries which are jointly run by the state and individual or a group of individuals, that are the one who are the come under the joint sector. So here the public and the private one come together as a whole, and like eventually they share the profit among each other. They set up amongst each other, they invest in each other, and it is owned by the public and private sector both. So that's the joint sector of public and private sector here. For example, Oil India Limited is a joint sector company that is being like owned by the public and private both the sectors. Now there is another kind of one, that is the cooperative sector. So now in cooperative sector, all these industries are owned and operated by the producers and suppliers of all these raw materials. So eventually anyone who is like investing in that particular business, and they are investing or they are producer or raw material, what they do, they eventually have the shares of that particular company. So if any kind of profit or loss that particular company will be getting, they are eventually going to get it. So it eventually is the kind of a share that they have invested in. They particularly invest like as a supplier or a raw material person or a producer. They have their own investment, so eventually they speculate their profit and loss into each other. Now like on the basis of the weight and the bulk of raw material also, these finished good is also clarified, which is in the heavy industries and light industry. So from the name itself you can think about it, what are the heavy industries. So in heavy industries, all the industries that are having bulky products and quite heavy in nature, they are the one that are coming under the heavy industries. Like the iron and steel industry, they are quite bulky and they have a good kind of a weight. Now in the light industry, they use light raw materials and they produce light goods such as electrical industries and everything. So they come under the light industries because they are not much bulky in nature and quite easily available also. So they are very come under the light industries. So I hope so classification industry is also clear. Now we are heading towards the next topic, that is the agro-based industries. So if we talk about the agro-based industries, we have just talked about, they are on the basis of raw material, where they are extracting from the agricultural raw material all the products and making them into other kind of products. So the first important thing is the textile industry. So in the textile industry, it is one of the one that have a quite unique position in the Indian economy because it kind of contribute a large amount of industrial production and employment generation also. Like apart from agriculture thing, it is giving a lot more to the economy. So that is why it is basically having a good position in the Indian economy as well, and it contributes basically 4% towards the GDP. So it eventually single-handedly giving 4% of a contribution to our only GDP, and it is the only industry in the country that is self-reliant and complete in the value chain because of the raw material they are having of the highest value added products. So all the products that are there in this textile industry, they are having a really good amount of value, and they are similarly, if it talk about that, they are contributing a lot basically to our national economy. Now the first kind of industry that we are going to talk about is the cotton textiles. So in cotton textiles, in if we talk about in recent India, cotton textiles were produced with hand spinning and handloom weighing techniques. तो आपको जैसे पता होगा कि पहले जैसे होता था कि जो कॉटन वाली चीजें बनती थी, दे आर क्वाइट जिनमें जो खादी वाली चीजें कपड़े बनते थे और जो ये बनते थे दूसरे टाइप की मशीन्स होती थी इनकी हाथों से ही बेसिकली दे यूज टू मेक दीज थिंग्स. नाउ आफ्टर दैट इन the first cotton textile mill was set up in the Mumbai in 1854. So after all these things, जब ये सारे to make it work in a loomage and to work in a loomage, the first cotton textile mill was set up in Mumbai in 1854. Now the cotton textile is mainly located in Maharashtra and Gujarat. Why they are located in Maharashtra and Gujarat? Because of the availability of raw material, because they get the good kind of raw cotton, as basically जो cotton जहाँ पे उगता है that is there in the black soil. So वहाँ पे जो kind of soil they are getting, it is quite rich and they are getting quite good quality of cotton there. So that is one of the reason that there is availability of raw cotton as black cotton soil is present there. Then secondly, there is good transportation facilities including the port facilities, availability of labor, good moist climate and all these things. So what are the major things if you got to tell that why they are located in these particular areas, you can write these points, that there is availability of raw cotton as black cotton soil is present. Then good transportation facilities including the port facilities have been given in such kind of states. Then availability of labor is also there, and they are having a good moist climate where they can get a good kind of raw cotton from there. Then main exports of cotton textile industries are from our country to other countries are Japan, USA, UK, France, Sri Lanka, Nepal, East European countries and etc. So we export our cotton to these countries and eventually we get the foreign exchange out of it. Now these cotton textile is produced in 3 methods in India. तो 3 मेथड से वो यूज होता है. पहली चीज होती है हैंडलूम विच इज हैंडमेडेड. देन देयर इज पावरलूम विच इज मेड बाय द हेल्प ऑफ द मशीनरी एंड ऑल. देन देयर इज मिल्स. In mills they actually consume have their proper yarns where they consume it, and they actually segregate it into different categories. Now it basically it involves spinning, it involves spinning, waping, dyeing, designing, packaging, tailoring to produce these ready-made garments. Now you have a particular cloth within your आपके पास cloth है. Now you have to make them into some valuable products, valuable clothes. These ready-made garments that you see that. So it involves all these things to make a particular cloth into a ready-made garment. Now these industries are also being created to support other industries also, like chemicals and dyeing, because in जो भी अभी हमने इन्वॉल्व किया कि जो ये इंडस्ट्री है ये सारी चीज़ें भी यूज़ करती है टू मेक देम मोर वैल्यूएबल. So it eventually supporting and creating like the demand for other industries as well, like chemicals and dyeing mill stores are there, packaging material and engineering works. So all these people involved in these particular things. So eventually one industry is supporting the other industry out there, but that is not a whole. These industries also face a lot of difficulties and challenges to in today's time. So these challenges are basically of this cotton textile industry. Not only cotton textile, each and every industry nowadays face a lot more problems and challenges. So we are going to discuss that as well. So the challenges to this cotton textile industries are first of all, there is a scarcity of good quality of cotton. Then the main cotton growing area, it eventually went to Pakistan during the division. So the main cotton growing area, it eventually went to Pakistan during the division. There is old machineries are there. They are not using good quality of machinery. Their erratic power supply, low output from the laborers, and there is tough competition from the synthetic fibers. So these are few of the challenges that they are facing. The first of all, that is scarcity of good quality of cotton. So now they doesn't have that good quality that it was eventually 40 to 50 years back. Now they are using chemicals and these fertilizers to make these cotton work, but it is not of that good quality. Now the major part have been gone to Pakistan. They are using old machinery. They are not using much of good and modern techniques to make it work. Then there is a lot of erratic power supply. There is low output from laborers and tough competition from these synthetic fibers. So these are few of the challenges. Now eventually in the cotton textile industry, you can see these areas where it is being manufactured and these industries are set up. These are the places. Now we are going to talk about the another industry, which is the jute industry. So jute is the kind of a product that is being used in India for like thousands of years, decades back. So India is largest producer of these raw jute and jute goods. There are about 70 jute mills in our country. Wait a second. So the first jute mill was set up in Risha. So basically, India is one of the, in other countries, jute mills are not there. Jute mills are not much there because they don't use the jute product much. But in India, it is a kind of a raw material that has been used from these some ages. So that's why they are having these jute mills from kind of a very long time, but they doesn't have these kind of industry set up out there at the previously. So the first jute mill that was set up was in Risna in Kolkata in 1859. So jute is used in making these ropes, bags, carpets, etc. And most of these jute mills are located along in the Hooghly River in the West Bengal. So why they are set up in the West Bengal more oftenly? Because the raw jute that is there, that is available for this West Bengal, they are having very inexpensive water support. There is a good network of railways, roadways and waterways to facilitate the movement of raw material to these mills. Then there is an abundance of water for processing raw jute. If we talk about this, particularly पहली चीज तो उनके पास water जो transport है काफी अच्छा है and quite better. Then there is a good network of railways, roadways and waterways facilities. There is an management of water for processing these raw jute. Then cheap labor they are getting in West Bengal and the adjoining states of Bihar, Odisha and Uttar Pradesh. And Kolkata is one of the one for especially for jute kind of mills. They are giving them large urban centers and providing them banking, insurance and port facilities to export their jute goods. Now, jute industry also faces a lot of challenges in today's time. First of all, the stiff competition, it is from the international market. from these synthetic substances and from other competitors like Bangladesh, Brazil, Philippines, Egypt and Thailand. So majorly what kind of a thing that we are facing is that jute products are not being specifically used much in other kind of the countries. So they are having the other countries are having other better products that they have made from these jute kind of a thing. So eventually they have the substitutes, and India is facing major competition from these countries who are making it, especially from Bangladesh, Brazil, Philippines, Egypt and Thailand. So what is the major solution that they have given to this thing is that in 2005 there is a national jute policy that has been formulated with the objective of increasing the productivity, improving the quality and ensuring good prices of these jute farmers and enhancing the yield per hectare. So basically to improve the this particular industry, the government have taken these particular things into consideration to improve the jute industries and jute mill goods. Now we are going to talk about the other industry, that is the sugar industry. So in sugar industry, India stands second as the world producer of sugar here. Like India occupies the first place in the production of gur and khandsri. You know about what is gur and khandsri. So the raw material that is used in this industry is very bulky, and it is the second largest agro-based industry after cotton. So basically the raw material that will be used in this industry is very bulky, because all these you have seen it, this gannas and all these stuff. So if they are eventually dropping into a very large number, that's why they are very bulky. And in 2010 and 11 there were over 662 sugar mills in the country that spread over Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat, Punjab, Haryana and Madhya Pradesh. And most of the mills are near to these sugar cultivated areas. Now the major challenges that are faced by the sugar industry are that they are a seasonal kind of a product. So they come under every season only. So that is included into the seasonal nature of the industry. Then they are using old and inefficient method of production. They are not having good efficient method of production. Then the transport also delay in reaching the cans and to factories. The need to maximize the use of batteries is also very limited. So these are few of the challenges that have been faced by the sugar industry. Now why the sugar industry is shifting from the northern to the southern India? Why? So the earliest UP and Bihar were the main producers of sugarcane at earliest possible, but therefore most of the sugar mills were located in these two states only. But now these sugar mills are shifting towards Maharashtra and Karnataka because of these following reasons. First of all, the per hectare production of sugarcane is higher in the southern India. Then black soil is quite suitable for cultivation of sugarcane, and this coarse content in the sugarcane is higher in Maharashtra and Karnataka. It means more sugar can be produced for less sugarcane. Then the mills and machines are new in the southern states. They are having new and modern machines, increasing the productivity. Crushing season for sugarcane is longer in southern states, and cooperative sugar mills are running successful in the southern states. Now we are going to talk about all the mineral based. So we have discussed about what are the agro based industries. Now we are going to talk what are all the mineral based industries that are there. So these are the important mineral based industries: iron and steel industry, aluminium smelting, chemical industry, fertilizer industry, cement industry, automobile industry, information technology and electronic industry. So apart from these industries, you don't have to learn much about chemical, fertilizer and cement. So these three are out of your syllabus, but still we are studying it for your better understanding. Now first of all, that is the iron and steel industry. So this industry is also called as the basic industry because it provides raw material to many other industries such as machine as tools, transport equipment, construction material, etc. And it is also called as heavy industry because raw materials like iron ore, coal, limestone are bulky in nature. So most of these steel plants that are located in the Chota Nagpur region. Why? Because first of all, the availability of raw material that is there in the peninsular India, that is it is in a good quality, and you will get most of the minerals in the Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Odisha and Jharkhand kind of area. That's why the main steel plants are located in the Chota Nagpur region. Now the total steel industries in India are facing many problems. So same way steel industries are also facing many problems. First of all, the high cost of production. So the production rate is very high in because they are quite bulky and they are heavy in nature. So they have a very high cost of production. Then they are having limited availability of coking coal, from where they can extract these minerals out of them and make them a raw material. Then low productivity of labor, irregular supply of energy. Raw materials are found only in a certain pocket of India now, and there is poor infrastructure like transport and communication, etc. So if you got such a question like what are the challenges and problems that the steel industry faces, so you can write these points. So why is the iron and steel industry is located in the peninsular India only? So if you got such kind of a question, you can write these points. First of all, there is good and more raw material. So there is a large quantity of quality iron and steel that is available in the peninsular India. Then there is power sources like coal, oil, water power available in the peninsular India. They are having skilled labor, like cheap and skilled labor is available. It can be also had from Bihar, Odisha, West Bengal and UP. Besides, skilled labor is also locally available to them. It is nearby to the market, like large and gaseous markets are available in the peninsular India. There is port facilities that is available for the export of iron and steel manufactured goods. These are few of the iron and steel plants that is there in India. Now we are going to talk about aluminium smelting. So aluminium smelting is the second most important metallurgical industry in India. It is light, resistant to corrosion, a good conductor of heat, malleable and becomes strong when it is mixed with other metals. It is used to manufacture aircraft, utensils and wires. It has gained popularity as a substitute of steel, copper, zinc, and it eventually lead in a number of industries. Aluminium smelting plants in the country are located mainly in Odisha, West Bengal, Kerala, Uttar Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu. And in 2008 and 9, India produces over 15.29 lakh million tons of aluminium. Now bauxite is a raw material that has been used in this metal, and it is very bulky and dark reddish colored rock. It is regular supply of electricity and its short source of raw material at minimum cost are the two primary factors for the location of such kind of industries. Now talk about the chemical industry. So it is not there in your syllabus still, just for your understanding. These chemical industries in India is fast growing and diversifying, like it contributes approximately 3% to our GDP. Then it is the third largest in Asia and occupies the 12th place in the world in terms of its size. Now it comprises both large and small scale manufacturing units. The chemical industry is its own largest consumer because basic chemicals undergo processing to further produce other chemicals that are used for this industrial application, agriculture or directly by these consumer markets, which are of two types, organic and inorganic chemicals. Now the organic chemicals, so organic chemicals include petrochemicals which are used for manufacturing of these synthetic fibers, synthetic rubbers, plastic, dyestuffs, drugs and pharmaceuticals. Now organic chemicals plants are located near these oil refineries and petrochemical plants. Inorganic chemicals, they also include the sulfuric acid which is used in manufacturing fertilizers, synthetic fiber, plastic, adversaries, paints, dye stuff, etc. like nitric acid, alkali, soda ash, cesium and caustic soda. But these industries are widely spread over the country. they are like organic one are quite good for your health, but if it is in large quantity, it can convert into inorganic chemicals as well. Now the other kind of industry is the fertilizer industry. So the first fertilizer plant in India was set up in Ranipur in Tamil Nadu in 1906. The fertilizer industry is centered around the production of nitrogenous fertilizers, and at present there are 10 public sector undertakings and one in cooperative sector at Hazira in Gujarat and other in the Fertilizer Corporation of India. Now who are the distributors and producers of these fertilizers? So Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab and Kerala are produce more than half of these total fertilizer production in India. Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka are other important producers because of the easy availability of natural gas. The fertilizer industry is widely spread in these countries. The production rate of fertilizers in India produces about 1 million tons of nitrogenous, 4 million tons of phosphoric and 1.7 million tons of caustic fertilizers. The country is required to import potassium from abroad because it is not available in India. Now the cement industry. So the cement is essential for construction activities such as building, houses, factories, bridges, roads, airports, dams and for other commercial establishments. This industry requires bulky and heavy raw materials like limestone, silica, aluminium and gypsum. Coal and electric power are needed apart from these rail transportation. The first cement plant that was set up in Chennai in 1904, and popular cement companies that are there in India are UltraTech Cement, Act Limited and Chetan Cement. Now we talk about the automobile industry. So automobile industry, they provide vehicle for quick transport of goods and services for passengers. Then trucks, buses, cars, motorcycles, scooters, three-wheelers and multi-utility vehicles are manufactured in India at various centers. The industry is located around Delhi, Gurgaon, Mumbai, Pune, Chennai, Kolkata, Lucknow, Indore and Bangalore. These are few of the famous automobile companies in the world that are there, and you have witnessed them also. Now the last industry that we are going to talk about is about the information technology and electronics industry. So the electronics industry covers a wide range of products from translators, sets of television, telephones, telecom pagers, telephone exchange, raters, computers and many other equipments required by these telecommunication industries. Bangalore is the one that has emerged as the electronic capital of India, and other important centers for electronic goods are available in Mumbai, Delhi, Hyderabad, Pune, Chennai, Kolkata, Lucknow and Coimbatore. By 2010 and 11, these software technology parks of India have come up across 46 locations at different centers of India, and a major impact of these industries have been on employment generation, and it is encouraging to know that 30% of the people are employed in this particular sector are women. Now these are few of the important software technology parks that are there in India. Now all these industrial actually create a lot of pollution and environmental degradation to our particular world. So what kind of things that we can do? So these industries has contributed a lot in India's economic growth and development, but it has also increased in pollution of land, water, air, noise, which are resulting to degradation of environment that they have caused, and it cannot be overlooked at a time and any time. So what are the major pollution that they are creating? The first of all, they are creating air pollution. So air pollution is caused by the emission of CO2, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, etc. All these chimneys of these industry produce heat, which eventually leading to global warming and greenhouse effect. Then use of CFC in various industrial products depicts ozone layer, which filters ultraviolet rays of the sun. Air pollution affects the human health of humans, animals, plants alike, and also cause damages to the buildings as well. Now water pollution. Water pollution is basically dumping of organic and inorganic industrial waste into the water bodies, which eventually pollute the water. And this water pollution is also caused by the discharge of the untreated chemical wastes like dyes, detergents, acids, heavy metals like lead and mercury, plastics, fertilizers, etc. Industries which produce paper, pulp, chemical, leather, acid, dyes, fertilizers generate a lot of toxic waste which kills the aquatic life. Now there is another type which is thermal pollution of water. Like thermal pollution of water occurs when the hot water from factories and thermal plants is drained into these rivers and ponds before cooling them, and eventually create these thermal kind of pollution. Now noise pollution, like high intensity of sound generated by running machines, siren, drilling, fans, etc. lead to a lot of noise pollution. It causes irritation, hearing impairment, and heart attack, and amongst as the nearby to who are nearby to these kind of things. Now how you can control this environmental degradation? So first of all, by minimizing use of water for processing by reusing and recycling it into 2 or more successive stages. Second point, harvesting of rainwater to meet water requirements, treating hot water effluents before releasing them into rivers and ponds, and treatment of industrial effluents can be done in 3 phases. First is the primary treatment by mechanical means. This involves screening, grinding, flocculation and segmentation. Now the second treatment by biological process, that is like doing a lot of chemical stuffing thing into that. Then third one is the tertiary treatment by biological, chemical and physical processes. This involves recycling of wastewater by removing all the fertilizers from it. Then there's noise absorbing materials can also be used. Now the last one is the NTPC. So it is a kind of a chain that has been used to optimize the environmental equipments to minimize these kind of environmental degradation these companies, industries are doing. So NTPC is a major power providing corporation in India. It has ICO certification for IMSA, which is Environmental Management System, and the corporation has a proactive approach for preserving these natural environment and resources like water, oil and gas and fuels in places where it is setting up these power plants. This has also been possible through, so first of all, the optimum utilization of equipment, adapting latest techniques and upgrading the existing equipment out there. Then minimizing the waste generation by maximizing the ash utilization, by providing green belts for nurturing ecological balance and addressing the question of special purpose vehicles for afforestation. Then reducing all this environmental pollution through ash pond management, ash water recycling system and liquid waste management. Then ecological monitoring, reviewing and online database management for all its power stations. So this is whole as a chapter we have discussed. Still you have queries, you can ask me in the online classes if you are not able to understand anything. Now this is the homework solution. So I have asked you about the electronical industry that has revolutionized the life of the people and the country's economy. How? So these are few of the points you can write. First of all, it produces a wide range of products from transistor sets to television and computers for the masses. It has helped us set up television exchange, telephones, cellular, telegram, radios and many other equipments which have application in space technology, aviation, defense, meteorological departments, etc. It has generated employment for a large number of people. It employs over 1 million people by March 2005. Out of these, 30% are women employees. This industry has been a major foreign exchange earner because of its fast growing business process outsourcing sector, which is BPO, and India is one of the leading countries in software development. We have 18 software technological parks which provide high data communication facilities to software expert. Now the homework that I want to assign you in this particular lecture is you have to solve the NCERT exercise question number 1. Question number 1, which is the multiple choice question. You have to do it all the parts. And question number 2, answer the following briefly, not more than 30 words, all the parts. And this eventually tomorrow we are going to have the question and answer session. So we are going to discuss each and every question there, which you can write it down in your classwork notebook. So this is whole as a lecture. If you still have queries, let me know in the online classes. Thank you so much class for listening, and please take care of yourself.